Yep,
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Very good.
Excellent. All right, we're live, so just testing it out, making sure it's okay, and we'll get started here. For anybody who's joined on, we're going to get started in about 5 minutes. We're just taking care of some technical things. And Jeff, you can hear me fine?
Yes, there's a little bit of echo on your voice.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Is that better or no? Same?
It sounds better now. Do you have speakers on
No,
in the
I'm using
room?
headset. Yeah,
Okay, good.
just verify it's not. Yeah. Okay. What are you seeing on the screen? Are you seeing the Griffeye or are you seeing?
I've seen Griffeye page and R2 pictures.
Okay, good. Full screen?
No, I have a chat window on the right.
Okay.
I suppose I could make it full screen. I'm not sure what buttons to push.
It's all good.
Okay.
All right. I just want to test when I switch this. This should switch to. Now you seeing the Griffeye?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. All right, excellent. And now you're seeing the us.
Yes.
With the messed up fonts.
Hey.
Apparently, Webinar Ninja doesn't recognize the fonts we use. So.
Hey, as long as we can read it, it's good.
Yes, very good. All right, looks like the gentleman in Sweden can hear, and they're good to go. And my colleague Bo in Australia, good morning or good afternoon or good evening or good night, wherever you are. Excellent. We'll get started here in about 4 or 5 minutes. All right. So there should be sound, but we don't have any like background music. So we'll get started in a minute. And yes, to answer your question, the webinar will be recorded and you'll be able to download it later. You should receive a link once it's processed and finished. I think it takes about 24 hours. So. Yeah, we'll get started here in, looks like we got a 1 minute or so. I want to make sure everyone's connected okay. 2 minutes, and then we'll get going here. All right, looks like we got people from all over the world connecting. That's excellent. Good to hear. Welcome, welcome. I apologize for any clicking or creaking you hear in my chair or my on the desk. Hello, Switzerland. Hello, Ireland. Awesome. This is great. Germany, hello. Good afternoon, I should say, over there. Oh, I got to mute my sounds. Whoops. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night, in the words of the famous Jim Carrey. Welcome to this webinar. This morning, first, I'd like to apologize for the font issue we're having. Apparently, the webinar company does not recognize the fonts that we use. It looked great on my screen, and now it's a little jacked up, so I'm sorry. So what I want to talk about in today's webinar is the exciting new lace carver integration that we have with Griffeye. So today with me, and I'll let Jeff introduce himself in a minute. Well, first of all, I should introduce myself. My name's Eric Oldenburg. I recently retired from the Phoenix Police Department after 24 years, 15 years doing internet crimes against children investigations. I did about 7.5 years as an investigator and 7.5 years as a computer forensic examiner. So I have a unique perspective on from the investigative side as well as the forensic side. And with me, I'll let, in a second, I'll let Jeff introduce himself, but I want to let you guys know that we have Sebastian and Eric from Griffeye that are joining us with the webinar today. And if you have any questions or anything, throw them in the chat box, and then he's going to send them to me at the end. So I want to thank Eric and Sebastian for being here and helping out.
Thanks, Eric.
And Jeff, if you want to
I'm Jeff Nash.
and
I'm
introduce
based
yourself.
in Ottawa, Canada, and I work for a company called Blue Bear. The talk today is going to be about the lace carver and the integration with Griffeye. I'm responsible for product management and customer service at Blue Bear. I'm an electrical engineer by training, but generally a computer nerd, and this is what I do all day, every day.
Excellent. We're happy to have you, Jeff. So I'm going to introduce basically what we're going to do, and then Jeff is going to talk a little bit about the technology, and then we'll get into it. So today, what we're going to talk about basically is how the lace carver works, how to install it and get it working within Griffeye, how to import evidence using the lace carver, and then how to understand the results that we're going to get that are going to be a little bit different from the results you're used to in a standard Griffeye case. And then I'm going to show you a simple scenario to show how the carver can help you locate some actionable intelligence within Analyze DI, and then we'll do a Q&A session from any viewers. This should not take very long. This shouldn't be a 2.5 hour. It probably won't even go more than an hour, because we're just going to basically show you. This isn't an overview of Griffeye. This is just to show and highlight the integration. So first and foremost, let me get the setup on the other screen here. Okay, can everybody see my account page here? It should be good to go. So basically, the lace carver it's an additional license. So I'm sure you guys probably have questions about how much does it cost. There's an additional fee on top of the standard $9.95 price for Analyze DI Pro, and Griffeye, or excuse me, Lace comes with an additional cost. I think you can purchase it separately. If we go to the web shop, you can. It has your prices for you. You can do a lace carver add-on, but in order to do that, you want to send a request to sales@griffeye.com. You can see the difference here. Griffeye Analyze Pro is $995 a year. If you want the lace carver integration, it's $1290. And that's because we've licensed the technology from Blue Bear. It's not our technology. So there's an additional cost. So those of you who already have Analyze DI Pro licenses, realize that you can get a prorated quote. You just have to send an email to sales@Griffeye and ask for a prorated quote to get that carver license paid for, so that it matches up with the expiration date of your Griffeye Pro license. And the reason that is because we want to make sure all the licenses are aligned date-wise, so your lace carver doesn't expire at a different time that your Griffeye Analyze Pro license expired. So, if you already have DI Pro, all you need to do is send an email to sales asking for a quote for the prorated difference. So first and foremost, how to get it is, once you have a DI Pro license, you log into your account online, and once you do that, you'll go to your download section, and it'll give you the two options of the lace carver or the DI Pro download. So if I go to the download page, it basically tells me here's the latest version we have, and when you all you have to do is download the file, and when you do, you download this Blue Bear _lace, and it's an app package. Once you have that file, all you need to do is go over to your main program settings, and we're going to go to plugins. And then this install button right here, we'd click it. I already have it installed here. It comes up as a Blue Bear Forensic Carver. I already have it installed. So if I click it, it asks me where I want to get that from. And I go to my downloads, and there's either one of these. And you just open it up, and it extracts the files, and you're good to go. So we've had a lot of questions about this where it says execution disabled. Just ignore that. It's probably bad wording, but that's just saying that all that's doing is disabling it so that you can't run the carver in addition to running other apps. And what I mean by that is, if I go up to case data and rescan case against apps or plugins, it doesn't list the Blue Bear carver, or excuse me, the lace carver, and that's why. So, and then once you have that ready to go, you can check in your Analyze Forensic Market, and there's the lace carver. It's all ready to go. And if you have questions, you can look at the installation tab right here, or how to use it tab right here. And we'll talk about the additional features that you have using the lace carver. So before I pass this off to Jeff to explain the technology, what are the benefits of using of carving? I hope everybody now is carving all your evidence for unallocated space. And I know most jurisdictions, and I've realized, everybody, I've been in your shoes. So I've had the workload, I've had the crazy amount of cases to get through. And I know it's, there's a balance between speed and thoroughness. So, and an interesting short anecdote I'll tell you is, I had a new lab supervisor come in when I was a forensic examiner, and I was kind of one of the senior people in the lab, and he pulled me in and he said, "Eric, I have these examiners that have a 12 to 18 month backlog. Why can't I have them just go through these cases, find the files I'm going to charge, these child exploitation cases, find the files I'm going to charge, and move on to the next case? Increase, get through, knock some of these cases out faster." And my response to him was, he had two small boys that played soccer at the time. And I said, imagine you hear in the news that the police, in a proactive sting, caught your son's soccer coach trading in child exploitation material on the internet. And you found out that all the investigators did was find the pictures that they downloaded and then moved on to the next case. How would you feel about that? And he kind of gave me the moment and said, "You know what? I understand what you're saying." And I said, "Listen, we have to look at every square inch of every digital piece of evidence in a perfect world to make sure that there's no first generation material being produced." And the reason we want to do that is because we're trying to get everyone to focus on the victims instead of focusing on the pedophiles and the offenders. If we focus on the victims, we will go through the offenders and potentially rescue children. And that's the whole idea. So we're looking through all the files in all the media in unallocated space, because you guys know as well as I do that people try to hide this information. They try to hide things, especially people that are doing first generation production or hands-on. They're trying to hide what they're doing. And a lot of times we can find very rich information in unallocated space on drives to help us rescue children. Now, if you're in a jurisdiction that charges unallocated files, that's even better, because you're going to get a lot more results than you would normally. So that's the power of this integration. And your workflow now, instead of having an external Carver that you need to put the files into a folder and bring that evidence in separately, now you have a one-stop shop. If you have LACE handle the import, it can carve the file, it can carve the direct physical media, assuming you have it write blocked, and then it brings it in and processes the case altogether. Before, you would have to spend all the time to process the carve. So you'd have to take your external program and carve it, and then take your results and bring them into Griffeye and have Griffeye reprocess. Now it's all at once. So it's all integrated. So with that, I will defer over to Jeff. If Jeff, you want to just talk a little bit about the technology and what the Carver is doing, and we can go from there.
Sure. Thanks, Eric. All right. The Carver is about 8 years old and under constant development, because it's a challenging and very technical environment. Forensic carving is about as complicated a thing as there is in the computer world. There is a standard GUI version of the Carver that gives you a visual interface to the Carver. The version that works with Griffeye is a command line version that is fully integrated and sort of hidden from the user. You have a few top level options to select, and then you just let the Carver go. It does its work and hands the results off to the Analyze program from Griffeye. The Carver can carve files logically, that is from the visible folders. Physically, that is looking at the drive as a whole, like a USB stick or an SD card or an external drive or an internal hard drive or a cell phone or a camera, what have you. And in that mode, it can carve not only from the folders and directories, but also deleted files and files from unallocated space. The Carver will also retrieve files that are embedded, that is pictures inside Word documents or inside PowerPoint or inside email databases, inside zip and RAR archives. And further, it goes into the unallocated space and will do like a byte by byte search for the file headers to locate those orphan and unallocated space files that are just floating around sort of untracked on the drive. And then it'll carve those and bring those to you so that you can make those part of your case. It's a very technical operation, but it's been greatly simplified by the Carver and by the integration with the Griffeye Analyze product. That just makes it simple, straightforward, and accessible to investigators that may not have been, away for the months of technical training that is required to, perform the carving function yourself. This software makes it simple, straightforward, and accessible.
Excellent. Very good. Well, Jeff, we certainly appreciate that. And I'm going to show everyone the integration right here in a second. So just for speed purposes, I want everyone to know that I already created a couple of cases within here so that you don't have to sit and watch them process. And what I started with is I have two cases up. I have one, and if you can see here, this is the webinar case without carving. So these are the results, and the file that I am using is, what I've done is I've simulated that we have an individual with a 2 gigabyte NTFS formatted thumb drive, and when you look at it, it has 2 folders, one cover art with 5 pictures in it, and another one with other files. One is a Word document, one is a PDF file, and one is a 7-zip file. And I just wanted to show you that. And what I did is I created a forensic image of this, assuming this is our bad guy's drive. And our bad guy just has this thumb drive with 2 folders on it. So if I process that case within Griffeye using, without carving it, just using the standard import, I have a total of 17 files that I've found. And let me show you how to do that. I'm going to do add files to current case, but this is just to simulate. I was going to create a new case to show you the differences. So now, if you have the Lace Carver license, you guys will notice that in addition to a forensic image being an option, you also have physical media at this time, which will allow you, using the Lace Carver, you can directly carve from a physical device. So number one, I hope you're right blocking if you are attacking a physical device. And number two, the options that you're going to have are, when you do select a physical device, as you can see here, is physical drive. You can also select a logical drive if you'd like. But for here, we have 2 partitions I could select. I'm going to select that 2 gigabyte thumb drive. And notice that our output path, one thing I did want to point out is you can put it within the case folder, or you can throw it in another location. And a couple users that we've spoken to already told us that they were carving terabyte size hard drives and leaving them in their case folder. Well, if you guys have your case folders that, if you have its case folder, in your case folder, you can, I'm sorry, I just got sidetracked. Eric sent me a question. Anyway, so if you keep your case folders in one particular drive, that's a smaller drive, a faster drive, and you keep your evidence on another drive, realize that if you use the Lace Carver, it's going to take all the unallocated output, or all the output of all the files that it finds, and it's going to put them within your case folder. So we've already had people saying, hey, my case folder drive is running out of space because and they weren't sure why. And it's because the output that it creates within the case is actually in your case folder. But if you have another drive you want to put it on, a network drive, a drive with more capacity, you can certainly do that. A couple other things too as well, and these are the same options that you'll have if you select a forensic image, is the carving mode. So there's fast, and if you hover over each one of them, it kind of tells you exactly what it's doing. Fast, intermediate, and complete. I recommend that you run intermediate. And the reason that is because if you run complete, what it does is it tries to open each file that it finds and recovers. And if it can't open it, it doesn't add it to the output. So the benefit of that is it adds, it will not send out corrupted files into Griffeye Analyze DI. And as you may have been aware of or seen before, corrupted files can sometimes be, crash the program if it comes across a corrupted file. So the benefit of running complete would be that it's checking every file. But the drawback is I've had reports from people using it that say it's up 3 to 10 times slower to complete the carve or the process if you run on complete. Now, intermediate does the same thing. It just doesn't try to open every individual file. So it's going to be a lot faster. Your intermediate scan is going to be a lot faster, and it's going to, but you do have that possibility of bringing in corrupted files. So just realize that. But as you know, if you've carved before, it takes a long time to carve devices, especially we're in the terabyte world now. We're going beyond gigabytes. So, and then you can click these advanced carver settings. Now realize this is the first This is the first integration we've had with this software. So the developers are actually working on making our advanced settings better. So any input that you guys have, we certainly would love to hear. And you can hit us up in the forums on the Griffeye portal. But as you can see, there's all these different file types. You can have it select. You can include deleted files and unallocated files and pull from compound files, Windows thumbnails, PDFs. This include video frames option is if it encounters a broken video, which can leave a lot of JPEGs in unallocated space. It's how do we treat that video? And we're trying to come up with a balance between everything and just grabbing that broken video. The reason that is if it finds a whole bunch of JPEG files out in unallocated space and it adds it to your case and it happens to be part of a broken video, that can be potentially millions of additional files, pictures that you have to go through. So by default right now, it's not going to include any broken frames. It'll grab the video and bring it in. And again, that's why I recommend not using complete, because if the video is broken, but it still finds it, we could probably still play it within Griffeye after Griffeye does the frame extraction. Jeff, we just had a question pop up is, can we carve virtual hard drives directly from the Carver?
You have to mount the virtual hard drive first.
Okay, and then you would just select it as a physical drive.
Exactly
correct?
right. Yes. If I could add one more
Absolutely.
point regarding intermediate versus complete mode. In the intermediate mode, the benefit besides the speed is that you would also get the metadata, if it's present and available, from damaged files. Even though you can't open the JPEG, you might still be able to see the original file path or the file dates or the EXIF information. And sometimes that is valuable, even if you cannot view the JPEG or the video file, whatever it is.
Excellent. Yep, very good. So thank you for that. Let's talk about bringing in a forensic image. And I want to point out for you guys, the first thing it does is it asks you where that image is. And I have it under my evidence files. So this was the forensic image file that I created for this case. Now, when I bring it up, it gives me two options. One is to carve with the lace carver, and one is to import the forensic image. If I select import, all my options go away. And notice now it's going to use the standard import that Griffeye does. And as you may or may not know, Griffeye Analyze can interpret forensic image files, but it does not carve unallocated space. It can get deleted files. So if it's flagged as deleted in the MFT or the FAT tables, it's not going to. Or if it's just flagged as deleted, it will get it, but it's not going to get anything in unallocated space. So your two options are import forensic image or carve with lace. Now, I know most people, when you hear carve, you think it's just getting unallocated space. But basically, your options are either you let Griffeye handle the process or let lace handle the process. Lace grabs valid files as well as unallocated. It doesn't just carve unallocated. So it's going to handle the entire processing for this particular image file. So once you do that, you click add, and then you would go through and you do your other import settings. And again, like I said, I already have one in the oven for you. So I'm going to cancel this. So let's first look at the investigation involving this thumb drive if we don't carve it. So we don't carve the thumb drive, and I see that I have, looks like 5 pictures of this young lady who this happens to be my daughter, and she's volunteered to be the actor, the character in our scenario here. So notice this individual, there's no EXIF information on this particular, on these files. Looks like he's taken the EXIF away. This one has EXIF, but if you look at it, all it has is something in the software saying, hey, this guy edited this with paint. So I'm looking at this file, and there's some face detection, but it looks like this person has purposely obfuscated something on the shirt she's wearing and stripped out any EXIF data. So I can see, so if I was given this thumb drive and the bad guy said, oh, I don't have any pictures, or no, whatever, denies everything. If I imaged it and brought it in and did not carve it, I would say, well, I've got this young lady on here and I have no idea how to identify her. I can start doing some victim ID back here, trying to figure out his 21 pilots flag, maybe figure out where she could be. But all it's showing me is these files that contain my victim. Now, if we look in our folders tab, he's got in that cover art just these pictures. So, and there's no way to identify where she is without doing some serious digging and some victim ID work. Also, I wanted to point out this other files, when we didn't process it with LACE, it just brings it in and says, here's all these JPEGs. And let me expand this out and show you exactly. So it says, hey, in this stock images.7-zip, Griffeye was able to pull out all these photographs. And this is just an example to show that it goes in and it pulls out compound files. Griffeye can do that. LACE does it a little bit differently, and I'll show you that here in a second. So assuming this is our scenario, and you run across these pictures of this young lady, if you don't look in unallocated space, there's no way to know if this guy maintained the original files and then deleted them, which we've seen before, where people take the ones with the EXIF, delete them, and then create these thinking that the other ones are gone. So in my scenario, what this person has done is he has done whatever he's going to do, and then he reformatted the drive, and then he copied these files back onto the drive to make sure that nobody can see any information about where the pictures have been taken or anything like that. So that's the standard input. Now here, let's take a look at when I processed it with the LACE Carver on the way in. So this case, the LACE Carver, it found 39 files that it brought in. Now, when I processed this in too, I wanted to let you guys know that I processed it in and I only selected to bring in image and videos. I have another case I'll show you. I don't know if you guys are bringing in documents and text files, and historically Griffeye hasn't been great about viewing them, but or interpreting them or showing pictures or extracting pictures from or files from documents or PDF files. LACE actually does that, and I'll show you that here in a second. So this case was processed just bringing in pictures and videos, and over here on the case info or on the folders, now instead of just cover art and other files, there's also unallocated space, and it found 9 files in unallocated space. Let me show you in the other files. It actually says, hey, from this file called 2pics.dox, it extracted 2 pictures. And I wanted to show you that because if you process it with Griffeye, Griffeye is not it's not pulling out pictures from compound files. A Word document, docx, is a compound file, as well as the other like PDFs and stuff like that. So notice now it doesn't list that stock images.7-zip anywhere, but over here it's pulled the files out of it, and the file name tells you the way LACE handles it. It says, here's the file name, stock images.7-zip, and it's piped, and here's the name of the picture that was found in there. So that's pretty cool. You can quickly see exactly what compound file that came from. And also these black and white pictures were pulled out of this file called blackandwhitephotos.pdf. It pulled them out, which is excellent if somebody embeds a file that contains rich metadata that you can then interpret later or use for intelligence gathering. Whereas if you process it standard with Griffeye, it's not going to pull that off. If someone embeds a file that contains rich EXIF into a PDF file, which I've seen offenders do in the past, because they think that, we're just going to look at pictures, you would be able to extract it using this. It's going to pull it out with that compound file. But what I wanted to show you that's amazing with this is if I go back to my thumbnail view. So here's those original pictures, but look at this one now. There's 2 visual copies. So if I look at it, I can see that this one, you can see that there's lettering on there on the shirt that you can now see. But But if I scroll down, here's another one. Again, now this one says, hey, wait a second. One of these pictures, and it would be the one from unallocated space right here. If I open that, oops, excuse me. If I look over here, I can say, hey, this picture was taken with a Canon, and here's the model of the camera that it was taken with. So that's a start. But if I continue and look at all these, all right, I continue to look, I'm scrolling around, and boom, here's some more files in unallocated space of the same girl. Here's another one that has that EXIF containing the make and model, but this one has GPS coordinates in it. So this is unallocated space. It pulled the files, and all I have to do is look at the GPS coordinates, and I can see exactly where that photo was taken. And now I can start gathering my intelligence and start using my investigation to start locating and finding that victim. So right there, it kind of shows you the power of the ability to carve unallocated files. Because if I hadn't carved this, I would have never found those files in unallocated space. So in my investigative opinion, what I would think is that this person took these photographs, had them on his thumb drive, stripped all the metadata, and then formatted his thumb drive and put those pictures back on. So thinking that because he formatted the drive, which a lot of people do, they think if they format it, that their CSA material or whatever their bad material is now gone, and it's not. So the other thing you can do too is imagine this is a huge case with thousands and thousands of pictures, and you come across this. Hey, this is the one I'm interested in. Again, with the built-in face detection, I can then just go and I can do a similarity search for her face. And it's finding all these additional files and some of which are in unallocated space. So you can use the face detection to quickly parse through once you get, find the results. So that is absolutely game-changing in my mind, is the fact that you can bring it in one fell swoop, and you get all the rich information, everything from unallocated space. So what I wanted to show you, as well as what it's actually putting out. So when you import the file with the Lace Carver, you have this new folder in your case folder called carved files. And within there, for each evidence item that you bring in, it's going to give it a name, and then there'll be a GUID. But behind that is all your log files and the actual output, because what the Lace Carver is outputting is a JSON case. So it's actually outputting a standard JSON VIX case. So if you wanted to, for some reason it didn't import correctly or it hung up, once this is completed, you could actually go and create a new case and point directly to that folder that contained the carved files and the JSON, and you can bring in that JSON case all by itself. So, which is pretty cool. So the other thing that's in here as well is your log file. So if something does go haywire, and if you guys have ever carved unallocated space, you know that it can be dodgy at best. So if you want to see what's going on, every time it creates it does a carve, it gives you this very detailed log, which is awesome. It shows you how many files it found, how many files were, videos, pictures, images, everything, when the scan started, when it ended, all the partition information, and all this stuff can be added to your report if necessary. And then you can also look at how many regular files it found compared to how many regular files it located. It'll give you a full comprehensive list. Now, obviously, this is a small test case just for training purposes, but that's where it puts all your information, is right there in that carved file, unless you point it somewhere else. So I also wanted to show you, I'm going to open up one of the cases where I processed it, bringing in I'm going to standard import with documents and text, as well as just pictures and videos. And when you open that case, notice it brings in the actual Word document, not just the files that were extracted from. And within Griffeye, this is a standard import. Within Griffeye, if I didn't use the lace carver, I can look at this Word document and see that there's embedded pictures, but there's really nothing I can do with them. And I can't point directly to them in the case. And the PDF file, same thing. If I look at the PDF, there's the pictures that are in it, and I can double click and open it up and look at the pictures, but they're not actually a photograph within the case. Now, if I open up the one that contains the lace import with docs and text, I'll show you it's a little bit different. And now it's brought in the files. It's also brought in some document.xml files because that's all built into the Word doc compound file. But notice here's my PDF that I can view, and here's the pictures it extracted from the PDF. So it brings everything in at the same time. And if I go to my folders view, it's pretty similar. However, now I have the actual text and document file. So it just depends on however you guys are doing your investigations. So one other thing to show you, let's see. I just got to open this other one up again real quick. Sorry. Is what other information do we have? So if I'm within Griffeye and I have a huge case, obviously this only has some small pictures in it, but I can go to my filters, and now I can filter down to just unallocated. Is the file unallocated? And I select that. Here's the files that were found in unallocated space. So I have a quick filter to do that, as well as in the grid view. Now I have my column that says it's unallocated and the physical location where those files were found on the hard drive as well. So I've got physical file location as well as that it's now flagged as unallocated. So that's basically how to interpret the data within Griffeye Analyze. Once you've processed it with carving within, using lace to process the file on the way in. So in my mind, what a huge benefit. We've been asking, before I started working with Griffeye, I asked for a while, hey, can we, when's carving, when's carving, when's carving? And I asked what carver, and we decided to go with the lace Blue Bear carver. And one of the reasons we did is Arnold Guerin, who's with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police up in Canada, did his master's thesis on file carving programs. And in his opinion, lace carver and empirically, lace carver did a better job of extracting files than any other carver on the market. So we have a great relationship now with Blue Bear, and we're integrated, and hopefully we look forward to working with them in the future as well. So with that, I will, Jeff, is there anything I missed or anything you'd like to add before I go to the Q&A? No,
I think that was an excellent summary. Thank you.
All right, very good. Let me pop up some of these questions, and if I can't answer them, I'm going to defer them over to Jeff. So if you guys have questions, give it a shot. Let's see. Oh, it looks like you're in there already. Oh, excellent. So it looks like Jeff's answering questions in the chat, which is good. We use C4All and has obviously not been updated for a long time. So even though it's focused on allocator, it does miss out certain file extensions. Yeah. So Stevie, I'm an ex-cop. I just retired in May. So I know how hard it is for investigators to let go of things that have been working for them in the past. And C4All keeps coming up and coming up. You're right. It has not been supported. So I totally recommend, like Jeff said, this carver is under constant development. So if you've got something that hasn't been updated in 3 years, think of all the file systems that are now being utilized on data storage devices in the past couple of years. Apple has changed their entire file system. There's been several updates with the NTFS file system. exFAT is now very popular. And if those carver programs didn't support those new file systems and the new sector sizes and cluster sizes, if they just didn't support it because it didn't exist then, and there's been no updates, you are potentially missing huge amounts of data. So let's see, will there be enhancements so that I can process allocated files with DI and unallocated? Yes. So we actually had a meeting the other day. Good question. with the developers. And one of the suggestions from one of our beta testers was, hey, is there a way we can just select, hey, just carve unallocated files instead of processing the whole case? So we're working on that. So let's see. What is BB? So that's Blue Bear. That's the abbreviation. Yeah. Okay. It looks like you already answered it. Okay. If you already have a Blue Bear license, how to convert it to, or do you have the full license or the standalone Carver license? That's the question from Lewis.
Okay, so if you have Lace Server, I guess what you're asking is, can you output a JSON file from the Lace Carvers that came with Lace Server? And the answer is yes. It is an additional license. Contact Blue Bear about upgrading your license to allow the output of the JSON format.
Yeah, that's the yeah. So to license it within Griffeye, you just, yeah, if you want it integrated, you just go through us, and then you don't have to have the full Blue Bear suite. You just have the Lace Carver integration at this point. So that's basically where we are. Let me check with my fellas in Sweden, see if they have anything. Gentlemen, you have any questions or anything that or something you want to address that I haven't I haven't discussed? Oh yeah, Lace does support the HEIC and HEIF, and Griffeye supports that file format as well. So now that's the new high efficiency image format that Apple is using when it takes a photograph. Griffeye handles viewing. Yep. Then someone already said that in there. Excellent, George. All right. Let's see. Does this help with bad signature files? I'm not quite sure I understand if the file header doesn't match or the file extension doesn't match. Is that the question? Yes. So James, the Blue Bear Lace Carver integration is only with DI Pro. That's correct. DI Core does not have the Carver integration available. It requires a Pro license. But the benefits of the Pro license, there's so many in addition to just the carving. Integration into CS. Eric, are you on there? See if, I'm not sure what the CS integration is going on, but let's see if Eric from Sweden, it's planned for the future. So Sebastian says, yes, we're planning on integrating it for the future. So when you process a case within CS, you'll be able to carve as well. But we don't have any date on that as of yet. I don't see a Lace option in the DI Pro forensic market. How do you get it? So let me pull up my browser one more time. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. So in the web shop, yeah, if you have, let's see. So if you want the add-on, you would go into our products. And it basically says here, if you have an existing DI Pro license, you have to contact sales. And what they'll do is they will they will then give you that quote to match your license expiration date up. And realize too, you have to be on the latest version of Lace, or excuse me, you have to be on the latest version of DI, or you won't see the Lace Carver. The Lace carving was introduced in 18.3. So if you're using an earlier version, you will not see the Blue Bear, the Lace Blue Bear icon in the forensic market. So you won't even see this. So it says Lace Carver supports 100 image file formats and 30 video formats. Any reference document we could see on exactly what formats are supported. Yes, Jeff can probably give you a link to a a document that explains all the file formats. Yes, is that true, Jeff?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, excellent. Yep.
If
you want to just post up in the, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name, Amin or Shid. if you want to send me an email or send Jeff an email, let me put that back up on the screen as well. We can, let me see. If you shoot us an email, we will get you the whatever information you need or want. There we go. That's Jeff's email. If you email him, he can give you that document. You can also email me as well. And also, please, please, please use the forums. And feedback is hugely important and valuable. We prefer frank feedback. So if you're having an issue, just let us know. You can send an email to support@griffeye.com if you're having a specific issue. If you have if you are having an issue with like a feature request type thing, then yes, he wants, or then yes, let's see. If there's a trial for the integrated lace. Yeah, there's a trial. Yes. So if you get a integrated lace versus getting so you can go online and get, you can go on, and if you order let me switch my screen back for you so I can show you. Sorry. If you go online and let's say you only have the core version, and you'd like to give it a shot, all you have to do is get this pro trial. It doesn't say it here, but if you get the pro trial, the 30-day trial, that comes with the Lace Carver integration. So you'll be able to run it on Lace for 30 days without having to purchase it. So, sorry. Yes, and you can also get the Lace standalone as well. And then that standalone could be used for whatever. But so one thing I also want to point out is that we are the developers. I say we, like I'm actually writing code, which I'm not. The amazing developers are working on making this input dialog as customizable as or as user-friendly as possible. So again, this is the first iteration. So there's a couple of things we're going to work on for like changing advanced settings and that type of thing. So stand by. This is probably going to change a little bit to make it more clear. But this is where we need your guys' input and your feature requests. And if you have anything, hit us up in the forums and let us know. All right. Does anybody have any more questions or anything I've missed? If not, it's been just about an hour. If you've got any questions, go ahead and question on backward compatibility. Again, you have to have 18.3 or higher in order to run the Lace Carver integration. It does not work on previous versions. And we totally understand that, some agencies require testing and all this other stuff done before they can approve upgrading to the newest version. So we apologize for that. But in order,
if I can add something,
yes,
if I could add something there, Eric, the standalone version will be totally compatible with previous versions of Griffeye on the basis of being able to import the JSON file.
Yes, that's correct. So the standalone version of this program, it has been updated so that it is Project Vic compatible now, so that you can export. When it carves, it exports just a standard VIX JSON case. So if you want to purchase the Carver separately and use the standalone Carver and then bring in a case, you would do exactly what I showed earlier. And that's just by going to that folder, because your Lace Carver output, if you select, whoops, sorry. It's going to give you this same JSON output if you have the standalone. And then all you would do is you would open up Griffeye, whatever version you have, as long as it's a version that can support bringing in a VIX case, you would just do that. You would carve externally with the standalone and then just bring in the results with a VIX case. And it'll be just like it was integrated. The integration takes away all the hassle of having to wait till it carves. And carving can take hours upon hours upon hours, and it can stop in the middle of the night, and then you've lost all that time when you come in the morning the next day, and now you've got to bring it over and have it start processing when if you have it integrated, you can just have it do all the work at once. When you come in the next day, it's all ready to go. Is there any consideration to providing a viewer application so we can process and send a review pack to the client? I'm not quite sure I understand. A viewer application. If you could clarify that, Andrew, that'd be great. Is Lace using SleuthKit libraries, your own forensic image format? So they have their own. Well, Jeff, I'll let you answer that.
There was some initial SleuthKit references from years ago when Lace Carver was initially started. There may be routines still embedded. I'm not sure. That was years ago, and it has been very heavily modified since. As you know, the forensic carving is extremely technical and continues to move forward and morph almost weekly. It's something that we try to keep up with, and it is our own code.
Excellent. Very good. I hope that answers your question. Yes. So as far as all right, I was a little confused, a review packet. So you're asking if you have like a UFDR report that Celebrite puts out. Yes, there's been some talk within Griffeye about actually, working on the reporting. So reporting needs some not an overhaul, but it just needs some stuff done. And a lot of people get confused with the reporting because there's a couple different things that it does, but there is talk of having it so you can just spit out basically, here's this, standalone report. So our issue would be if we adopted this lab wide, we don't want to have to force clients to buy. So yeah, you don't have to have it. You don't have to have it lab wide. And remember, people, Core is free and you have 2 licenses, but with remember, if you purchase a pro license with the Lace, you can install it on 4 different machines. So let's see, file detections are based upon file headers. Corrupt headers will not be detected. Yeah, if the header is corrupted, yeah, of course, it's not going to be able to find that. But if it doesn't, obviously this is, we're in, this is next level technology. So it's not looking at file extensions or anything like that. So having case will open fine in the Core free version. Yeah. Yes. Because it's, if you bring it in externally, you're just bringing in a JSON case. So it should be fine. All right. Any other questions? We'll give it a couple of seconds. And if we don't have anything else from Jeff or my counterparts in Sweden, we will wrap things up. So again, guys, if you have questions or issues, please feel free to get a hold of me. Whoops, I'm sorry. Feel free to get a hold of me. Oops, sorry. There we go. And I want to thank everybody for coming online and listening. And hopefully this is something that you guys will be able to use in your workflows in the future. And it's a huge time saver to be able to do this all at once. So, the takeaway is all the time that remember, you have a set amount of time, 40 hours a week, 60 hours a week, whatever it is. And any time that you can save, think of it this way: anytime you can save with integration and using integrated software tools, you can take that additional time that you've just created to get through other cases faster. But more importantly, from my perspective, you can take that additional time you saved and put that towards victim identification, which is hugely important. And I hope it's your focus in your CSA investigations. So with that being said, I want to say thank you again very much for your attendance. And if you have any questions, give me an email, shoot me an email, let me know. And I will talk with you guys soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.